The sky burned red as a small silver ship tore through the clouds, crashing fast toward the dark forest below. Inside the ship, two alien girls held on tightly. Princess Ilari gritted her teeth. Her long purple hair floated in the zero gravity. As alarms screamed around her, "Lura, hold on!" She shouted, "I'm trying." Lura yelled back. She was the royal guard, strong, proud, and angry. "This planet is disgusting. They sent us here to die." The ship shook violently. Lights exploded. Metal bent. Then crash. The ship smashed through trees and slammed into the cold earth. Branches snapped. Fire lit the sky. Smoke rose into the night. Everything went silent. Minutes passed before the door of the wrecked ship hissed open. Two figures crawled out, coughing and shaking. Ilari fell to her knees, pressing her hand to the dirt. This is Earth?" Lura helped her stand. "Yes, this is the planet of the humans. And now it's our prison." They looked around. The forest was dark and quiet. Strange animals made soft sounds in the trees. The air was cold and smelled of wet leaves. Their suits were torn. Their weapons were broken. Their communicator was dead. "We can't call home," Lura said, checking the damage. "We have no home anymore." Ilari whispered. The punishment had been clear. For defying the elders and refusing to follow cruel orders, they were sent to Earth alone, with nothing. The elders called it the silent exile. No return, no rescue. Lura clenched her fists. "We must hide. If the humans find us, they'll put us in cages." Ilari didn't speak. She looked up at the stars. Back home, those stars meant power, fame, and war. Here, they just looked beautiful, empty, peaceful. Suddenly, a loud snap came from the trees. Lura grabbed Ilari and pulled her behind a fallen tree. "Something's here," she whispered. Another sound. Crunching leaves, footsteps, someone or something was coming. Ilari's heart pounded. They were weak, tired, and unarmed. If it was a human soldier, they were done. A beam of light broke through the trees. A flashlight. A voice followed, deep, calm, and human. "Hello? Is anyone there?" Ilari froze. A human. The light moved closer. The voice again. "Are you hurt? I saw the fire. Do you need help?" Lura raised a sharp metal shard, ready to fight, but Ilari stopped her. "Wait, let's see who it is." Out of the shadows stepped a man, human, tall, beard, worn jacket. He looked strong but tired, like someone who had seen too much in life. He looked at the girls and blinked. What the hell? He dropped his flashlight. Ilari stood up slowly. Her silver eyes glowed in the dark. "We are not enemies," she said, her voice soft and shaky. The man stared. What are you?" Lura growled. "We don't need him. Let's run." But Ilari shook her head. "We have nowhere to run." The man stepped closer. "Are you hurt?" Ilari nodded. "We crashed. We are cold." Something in her voice touched him. He took off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders. Lura pulled her weapon shard higher. "Don't touch her." But the man didn't flinch. He looked at them both. "I don't know what you are, but you look scared. Come with me. My cabin's close." Ilari looked at Lura. "We can't survive the night out here." Lura hissed but nodded. "Fine, but if he tries anything." "I won't," the man said simply. "Name's Jake." He led them through the forest. The walk was quiet, tense. The girls looked around, seeing glowing bugs, strange trees, and stars like they'd never seen before. Jake's small wooden cabin appeared at the edge of a hill. Smoke came from the chimney. Inside it was warm. He gave them water, food, and blankets. The girls sat close to the fire, unsure. Jake watched them from the kitchen. "You're not from here, are you?" Ilari shook her head. "We were sent here, as punishment." Jake didn't ask more. He just said, "Whatever you did, you're safe here." Lura didn't trust him. She stood by the door, alert, ready. But Ilari, for the first time in her life, felt something strange. Warmth, not from the fire. From this human's kindness. Outside, deep in the forest, a red light blinked under a tree. Something had survived the crash. And it was watching them. Jake never liked visitors. That's why he lived alone, deep in the forest, far from the city, far from noise, far from war. But that night, something changed. The ground had shaken. The sky had burned. He'd seen the fire fall too fast for a plane. Too smooth for a meteor. Curious, he grabbed his flashlight and followed the smoke. He never expected to find them. Now, in his small wooden cabin, he watched the two alien girls, sitting by his fireplace, quiet, alert, like wild animals ready to bolt. One of them, taller, proud, with glowing purple eyes, kept a sharp metal shard in her hand. She didn't blink. The other, smaller, with long silver hair, watched him, but not with fear. She looked curious. Jake poured them hot tea. "It's not poison," he said, setting the cups down. The tall one didn't move, the silver-haired one took a sip, her eyes widened. "It is warm, strange, but nice." Jake nodded. "That's tea." She tried to say it. "Day." Jake smiled. "Close enough." She looked at him. "I am Ilari. This is Lura." Jake sat down across from them. "Well, Ilari and Lura, welcome to Earth." Lura stood. "We were not invited. We were exiled." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Exiled? You mean banished?" Ilari nodded. "Punishment for disobedience." Jake's eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" Lura answered sharply. "We refused to destroy a colony. We saved lives. Our leaders called it betrayal." Jake went quiet. He looked at them differently now. Not as strange visitors, but survivors, rebels, like him. "I used to be a soldier," Jake said. "I walked away too, lost people. Lost trust, never went back." Ilari tilted her head. "You also disobeyed?" Jake gave a short nod. "Sometimes. It's the only right thing to do." A quiet moment passed. Lura sat down, still holding her weapon shard. "So, what now? You hand us over to your government?" Jake leaned back. "No." Lura narrowed her eyes. "Why not?" Jake shrugged. "Because you don't look like enemies. You look like you've been through hell." "I've seen that look before in the mirror." Ilari blinked. "You would help us? Even though we are alien?" Jake's voice was soft but clear. "You crashed in my forest. That makes you my guests." Outside, wind shook the trees. The night felt heavy. Ilari reached for the fire with cold fingers. "It's warm, this fire. Our ships never had this. Heat came from walls. But this feels alive." Jake threw another log in. "Fire's honest. It burns if you're careless, but it keeps you alive if you respect it." Lura watched the flames too. Slowly, her grip on the weapon loosened. Then Ilari looked at Jake and asked, "Why are you alone here?" Jake didn't answer for a while. Finally he said, "Because I trusted the wrong people. I did things I regret, so I came here to disappear." Ilari nodded slowly. "We came here because we had no choice. But I wonder if this place can be a beginning." Lura scoffed. "It's still a prison." Jake stood. "Maybe, or maybe. It's the first place where no one tells you what to be." Suddenly, beep. Ilari's wrist flashed red. A weak signal. Broken, but active. Lura jumped up. "Something's near the crash site." Jake grabbed his rifle. "Not human. No one should be out there." They stepped outside. Cold wind blew through the trees. Darkness moved between branches. Jake turned his flashlight on. "If someone followed you here, we need to move fast." Ilari whispered, "We thought we were alone, but something else survived." From deep in the woods, a soft metallic sound echoed. A whirring, a clicking. Not animal. Not human. Jake raised his weapon. Lura raised her shard. Elari looked up at the stars and whispered, "They said we would be forgotten, but maybe they lied." Behind them, the fire inside the cabin flickered. Warmth, safety. Ahead of them, the forest held secrets, danger, and something watching. Elari touched the edge of the spoon with her finger, confused. "What is this tool used for? A weapon?" Jake laughed gently. "No, it's for eating soup." She looked into the bowl. The strange steam rising, the scent so new, warm, salty. Alive. Tentatively she copied Jake and took a sip. Her eyes widened. "It tastes happy." Jake smiled. "That's chicken noodle. Comfort food." Lura narrowed her eyes. "This is how they trap us with food." Jake raised an eyebrow. "You think I'm poisoning you with soup?" Lura didn't answer. She just stabbed the chicken with her spoon like it was a blade. Elari giggled. It was the first time Jake heard her laugh. Soft, light, like music. The next morning, Jake found Elari sitting by the window, watching the rising sun with wide eyes. "It's slow," she whispered. "Your star takes time to move." "Yeah," Jake said. "That's how mornings work here. In our world, day and night came from machines, no sky, no light, only programming." Jake sat next to her. "Then you've been missing the real world," she turned to him. "I think I like your world." In the days that followed, the two alien girls began to learn what it meant to live like humans. Jake taught them how to use a faucet, how to crack an egg, how to hang clothes on a line. Elari watched in wonder as water came from the tap. "You have rivers in your walls?" Jake laughed again. "No, that's plumbing." Lura struggled more. She hated not understanding things. She hated needing help. One day, Jake found her outside trying to start a fire with a rock and a metal pan. He crouched beside her. "Want some help? I don't need your pity. It's not pity. It's teamwork." She glared at him. "Why are you so kind? What do you want from us?" Jake didn't flinch. "Nothing. I just don't like seeing people freeze to death." Lura stared at him. Slowly she handed him the rock. "Fine, teach me." Elari, meanwhile, was learning more than Earth habits. She was learning emotions. Human music made her cry. She didn't know why. The sound of birds in the morning made her smile. And when Jake laughed, really laughed, it made her chest feel warm. She didn't have a word for it. Her people had erased that feeling long ago, but now she wanted to protect it. One night, Jake set up an old movie projector. They all sat in the living room, wrapped in blankets, watching an old black and white romance film. Elari leaned closer to Jake. "Why are they kissing?" "Because they love each other." She looked puzzled. "Love? You've said that before. What is love?" Jake paused. "It's when you care about someone more than yourself. When you want to protect them, even if it hurts." Elari blinked. Slowly, "Do humans always love with pain?" "Sometimes," Jake said, "but sometimes it heals you too." She looked back at the screen. "Then I think I want to feel it." Jake didn't answer, but he saw it in her eyes. She was already feeling it. Meanwhile, Lura wandered alone near the wrecked ship. Her hand brushed against a scorched tree. She scanned the area with Elari's repaired wrist device. A red signal blinked. Something was still out there, watching, waiting. Back in the cabin, Elari found an old photograph on the shelf. A younger Jake, in uniform, standing with other soldiers, smiling. "Alive." She pointed. "They were your tribe?" "My team," Jake said. "We fought together. Not all of them made it." "War," she whispered. "It steals everything." Jake nodded. "That's why I left it behind." She gently touched the photo. "That's why we were punished. We refused to steal life." He looked at her. "Then you made the right choice." They sat in silence. Two people from two worlds, understanding each other without speaking. But deep in the forest, something moved through the trees, something metal. Something hunting, and it had just picked up their trail. The wind outside the cabin had stopped. The forest was too quiet. Ilari's wrist device blinked red again. Beep. Just one soft sound, but it changed everything. Jake looked up from his book. That thing again? Ilari's eyes didn't move from the screen. It's a signal, weak but growing stronger. Lura stood by the door, already alert. Someone's tracking us. Jake grabbed his rifle. Is it human? Ilari shook her head slowly. Worse. That night, while Jake slept, Ilari stood outside under the stars. Her fingers touched the blinking screen on her wrist. A message had come through. A string of cold, coded words from her homeworld. Unit 04 deployed. Observe. Erase evidence. No survivors. Her hands trembled. She turned off the screen and looked at the sky. I thought they forgot us, she whispered. But they were just waiting. Back inside, Lura paced the cabin floor like a caged tiger. We need to run. Jake leaned against the wall. Where to? You don't even know this planet. Anywhere is better than here. Ilari stepped in. Running won't save us. They sent a hunter. One of our own machines. Jake raised a brow. A robot? Not just any robot, Lura growled. It's a seeker. Designed to erase failures, clean the mess. Jake narrowed his eyes. So that's what you are to them? A mess? Ilari gave a bitter smile. Yes, a mistake that chose mercy instead of violence. Later that day, Ilari found Jake in the shed, checking old wires and batteries. What are you doing? She asked. He didn't look up. You said it's a machine. That means it can be broken. You would fight it for us? Jake finally turned to her. You crashed into my life, and somehow, I don't want it to go back to how it was before. She stared at him. Even if it means your death? Jake stepped closer. Sometimes, something is worth dying for, but this time I plan to live. With you. As the sun went down, Jake helped them set traps in the forest. Old Earth tech, mixed with alien scraps from the wreck. Lura watched him carefully. You're not like other humans, Jake smirked. I get that a lot. She said nothing, but inside, her fear started to twist into something else. Respect. That night, Ilari sat by the fireplace again, staring at the flames. She turned to Jake. Back home I was royalty. I gave orders. I wore gold. Jake smiled. And now you're here, eating soup by firelight. She nodded. And for the first time, I feel like a person, not a symbol. Jake looked at her softly. You're more than a person. You're someone I care about. Ilari's heart beat fast. Even though I'm alien, he reached out, gently touching her hand. Especially because you are. But outside in the woods, something opened its eyes. Cold, metallic, a tall, thin machine with silver skin and glowing red sensors. It walked without sound. It moved with purpose. And it had found the heat trail leading to Jake's cabin. Back in the cabin, Ilari's wrist blinked again. Too fast now. Too bright. Lura stood. It's here. Jake grabbed his weapon. Then let's give it a welcome. They stepped outside into the night. Leaves rustled. Wind returned. Ilari looked at Jake. If we don't make it, Jake interrupted, firm and steady. We will. And then the trees in front of them split apart. Something stepped out. Not human. Not kind. And it knew all their names. The trees didn't break. They shattered. Branches snapped like glass as the seeker walked through them, tall, silver, cold. Its legs moved like blades. Its chest opened slightly, revealing a pulsing red core. It was not here to talk. Jake raised his rifle. Is that thing even alive? No, Lura said, stepping in front of Ilari. It's death-wearing metal skin. The seeker stopped 10 feet from them. A deep robotic voice echoed across the forest. Targets found, Royal Princess, bodyguard. Order, eliminate. Jake pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet hit but bounced off. Sparks flew. No effect, he growled. The seeker fired back. A bright blue beam sliced through the trees. It missed Jake by inches, burning the ground beside him. Run! He shouted. They sprinted through the forest, dodging trees, jumping roots. The seeker followed silent, steady, like a shadow with weapons. Ilari's heart raced. Her legs ached. We can't outrun it. We don't have to, Jake said. Just get to the trap. They reached a narrow pass between two cliffs. Jake slid to the side and flipped the switch. From above, a heavy net of steel cables dropped. The seeker stopped, scanning the trap. It stepped forward, and the ground exploded. Boom! Smoke and fire filled the forest. Ilari fell to her knees, coughing. Is it gone? Lura pulled her up. No, that thing won't stop until we're dead. They ran again, deeper into the woods, toward an old cave Jake had used long ago. Inside, they collapsed. Their clothes were torn. Their hands burned. Jake sat against the wall, breathing hard. That thing. It doesn't feel pain, doesn't need rest, Lura nodded. It will circle, flank, it's learning. Ilari looked at them both. Then we need to stop running. Jake looked at her. How? She held up the last remaining piece of alien tech, a tiny crystal core from their ship. This can overload its sensors. But I need to get close. Lura stepped forward. No, let me do it. Ilari shook her head. I am the one. They want. Jake grabbed her hand. You don't have to do this alone. Ilari looked at him, her voice shook. I was born to lead from behind walls, but here, I found a reason to stand in front. He didn't try to stop her. The seeker was back. It stood outside the cave, scanning the darkness. Ilari walked out slowly, holding the glowing crystal. The machine saw her. Princess identified. Final warning, surrender. She took one step closer. Voice was calm but loud. You were built by those who feared mercy. But I am not afraid. The crystal in her hand lit up like a small sun. The seeker raised its weapon, but Jake stepped from the shadows and fired. Straight into its eye. The seeker staggered. Lura leapt from above, slamming a metal rod into its spine, and Ilari, shaking, pressed the crystal against its core. Boom, light exploded. A shockwave rolled across the trees. The seeker screamed not in sound, but in broken metal, and then silence. Smoke filled the air. Jake ran to Ilari. She had collapsed, her skin burned, her breathing shallow. Ilari! Stay with me, she smiled weakly. Did we win? Jake nodded. You did. Lura knelt beside them. I thought you were weak. But I was wrong. Jake looked at her. She's the strongest person I've ever met. They carried Ilari back to the cabin. The forest was quiet again. No more machines. No more blinking signals. Only stars above. And a fire waiting inside. But in Ilari's heart, something stronger had started to burn. Not fear, not duty, but something new. Something called love. Rain fell gently outside the cabin. Not heavy, not angry. Just soft, like the sky was weeping quietly. For everything that had been lost. Inside, Ilari lay on the couch, wrapped in a warm blanket. Her skin was pale. Her silver hair stuck to her forehead. Her breathing was slow, but steady. Jake sat beside her, holding a cup of warm tea she couldn't yet drink. Lura stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes watching the forest. No one spoke. For a long time, finally, Jake broke the silence. She's healing, but slowly. She gave everything she had, Lura said quietly. And for what? Jake looked up. For you, for me. For this world. Lura shook her head. We were exiled, human. You don't understand. She was royalty, untouchable, above all. But she disobeyed the council. She refused to give the command. Jake frowned. What command? Lyra turned toward him. Her voice was hard. She was ordered to destroy a planet. Jake's eyes widened. What? Not Earth. Another colony. Innocent. Weak. The elders feared rebellion, so they sent her. Told her to wipe it out. But she didn't. Jake looked back at Ilari, stunned. She said no. Even though it cost her everything? She begged the council to reconsider. She offered peace. And for that, they sent a seeker to erase her, and me. And now ... even you. Jake looked down at Ilari's sleeping face. She was willing to die. Just so others could live. Lyra nodded. That's why I followed her, even into exile. Later, Ilari woke slowly. Her eyes fluttered open, meeting Jake's. Still here? She whispered. Jake smiled softly. Always. She tried to sit up, and he helped her gently. I saw it. She said, the seeker, in the last moment. I thought I would die. Jake squeezed her hand. You didn't. Ilari's voice cracked. I wasn't afraid. I was ready, Jake nodded. But you didn't die. You chose to live, and we're not letting go of that. Tears welled in her eyes. Back home, they called me broken, weak. I couldn't destroy strangers I had never met. I couldn't be the perfect daughter they wanted. Jake's voice was firm. You're not broken, Ilari. You're the strongest person I've ever known. She looked into his eyes, and for a moment, everything else faded. Just her. Just him, and the warmth between them. Lyra stepped outside into the rain, letting it wash over her. She had never trusted humans, never believed in peace. But now as she looked back at the cabin, she saw something she didn't expect. Not a prison, not a punishment, but a new home. That night, Jake found Ilari sitting up with a blanket around her shoulders. She stared into the fire. Quiet. When I was a child, she said, I dreamed of dancing in rain, but our world never had it. Only dry skies and perfect weather. Controlled, clean, empty. Jake sat beside her. Now you've danced in real rain, she smiled softly. And it felt like freedom. Jake reached into a drawer and pulled something out, a small, simple necklace. It belonged to my sister. She died in the war. But I think she would have liked you. Ilari took it gently, eyes wide. You honor me. No, Jake said. You honored her. By fighting not to destroy, but to protect. She reached for his hand, this time. He didn't pull away, and neither did she. But deep in space, in a cold metal room, a council of ancient voices whispered, the seeker has failed. The traitor lives. The human interfered. Then, we must prepare. Their eyes turned to Earth. And the punishment was not over yet. The stars above Earth sparkled like tiny memories. Ilari sat on the cabin roof, wrapped in a blanket, her silver hair shining in the moonlight. Beside her, Jake held a mug of hot tea, steam rising into the cold night. Neither spoke for a while. Words weren't needed anymore. Down below, Lyra stood by the old wreckage of their ship. Smoke no longer rose from it. The metal was broken, burned. Silent, she placed her hand on it one last time, then turned her back. I'm done waiting for home to call us back, she said. Because it never will. She walked toward the cabin and didn't look back again. Inside, the fireplace crackled. Softly. A new warmth lived there now, not just from the flames, but from the people inside. The next day, Ilari walked with Jake into the nearby village. She wore human clothes, simple jeans, boots, and Jake's old jacket. Her glowing eyes caught the attention of strangers, but she smiled kindly at everyone. A child stared at her in awe. Are you a space princess? Ilari knelt down and whispered, Not anymore. I'm just someone trying to start over. The child giggled and ran off. Jake watched her and smiled. You're blending in better than I did, she grinned. That's because Earth has real things, food, music, rain, and people who don't judge me for being different. Jake took her hand. You're not different anymore. You're home. That night, something unexpected happened. A low hum filled the air. A ship, a real one, appeared in the sky, hovering silently over the forest. It didn't fire. It didn't threaten. It just waited. Lura stood ready with a weapon. They've come to finish it. Ilari stepped forward. No, if they wanted to destroy us, they would have already. A transmission echoed in the air, translated through Ilari's wrist device. This is High Council Recon. Seeker has failed. Exiles remain alive, but no longer a threat. Final ruling, leave them. They chose peace. Then the ship turned and vanished into the sky. No war, no return, just freedom. Days passed. Ilari planted flowers in a small garden outside the cabin. Lura fixed up an old shed and turned it into her training space. Jake rebuilt the back deck. Together, they laughed, cooked, grew things, learned things, fought over silly things, and slowly healed. One evening, Ilari stood with Jake under the stars. Back on my planet, she said, love was not allowed for people like me. It made you weak, they said. Jake looked at her. And now? She smiled. Now it makes me stronger. She placed his hand over her heart. This is where I live now, she whispered. Not in palaces or warships, just here, with you. Later, Lura joined them, carrying fresh bread from the oven. Jake raised an eyebrow. You baked? She shrugged. I'm adapting. Don't expect it every day. Ilari laughed, truly free. And for the first time since crashing to Earth, all three of them felt alive. In the distance, the forest whispered. The stars watched, but for once, no one was running. No one was hiding. They had not just found safety. They had found a new future. And Earth became their real home.